Hey people, how you doing? It's Ian K here, www.ian-k.com or www.iankmusic.com. I don't even remember my own website. It's pretty handy. I wanted to take a few minutes and just kind of show you this little studio of mine. I call it Magic Box Records. It's where I record all my stuff. Just earlier this month, I've released my second album. It's called Ian K, Never Let Me Go. If you're on YouTube or you're subscribed to my channel or anything like that, or even if you haven't, please take a minute and check it out. Actually, I have the video up there for everybody to see, and I hope you guys dig it. But it occurred to me that YouTube is a place where I can stay connected with people and maybe fill people in on how an album like Never Let Me Go or something like that might actually come along and turn into an album from just an idea. So I thought that what I would do is start and show you my little studio here, and we can go from there. So you can see I'm working away at my computer. Now I've got Cubase, and I use the Pro version of Cubase for doing this actually. And I used to use crack versions and stuff like that, just probably like most of you guys or some of you guys or what have you. But if you had the same experience that I did, then you're going to know that it crashes all the time and it's just unreliable. And it occurred to me that if I'm going to be doing music legitimately and I want to release it and that kind of stuff, then really I need to do it legitimately and know that I'm using a program that's bought and paid for, licensed and everything like that, so I don't have any problems with it in the future. Nothing going to bite me in the ass, that kind of thing. So I would encourage you guys to do the same, that's for sure. You can see I got one of my new projects up. Like I say, I just released my second album a month ago, but I'm already working on the next one. I'll let you give it a little bit of a listen. Just a sec here. A little bit of a different feel for me. I hope you dig it. Basically just drum machine drums for the time being. I'm not going to let you hear the singing. That's just a little bit of a scratch track for vocals. Kind of yucky. I would be embarrassed to let anybody hear it. But anyway, that's what I do here. This is the Magic Box Studios. This is my recording rig over here. Now you can see that I've got a couple of channel strips in there, and basically I have 3 of them. Now the reason I ended up with all of this is because originally I was talking to a friend of mine who has a fairly considerably large studio, or large scale studio I guess is a better word, in Toronto. And I was talking to him, even before the idea of doing an album, and it really occurred to me that, it comes down to dollars per song, how good you want an album to be. And I realized that if I did a 10-song album with him at the cost, of say $1,000 a song just to mix and record the things, and that's probably not enough money to spend, really I can buy a whack of gear for that kind of cash. So I gigged and I gigged and I gigged and I saved my money and stuff like that. I ended up buying all this stuff here a piece at a time actually, and although my studio, when you look around, it maybe doesn't look like it's exactly ideal or anything like that, but one of the things that I did buy was this little bad boy down here. This is my Behringer DEQ 2496, and rather than really worry about having to have all kinds of foam and bass traps and stuff like that in my room, to deal with the reflections and whatnot, what I can do with this little bad boy, I can set a microphone up to it, sit it in front of where I sit, it'll run a sine wave through there, and it'll analyze the room, and what it does is it changes my EQ to match what the frequencies are in the room, where the nodes are and that kind of stuff, so that I get a more accurate mix. So therefore, I don't need to spend a whack of money on acoustic treatment or anything, and I actually bought this for a couple $100, and quite frankly, I know you can get Room EQ Wizard and stuff like that for free on the internet. I maybe might have been better off to do that. However, sometime down the road I might even use this in a live rig or something. If I'm going to be using it in different rooms, I can save rooms on it. I've got 3 channel strips. I got 1 for each guitar and 1 for my vocals actually, and I think that's going to be the way I continue to use it, and at least for the next little while. They're tube, they're ART, but they are tube, and I've replaced the tubes in at least one of them. And I'm using a Tascam 16 input, it's a US 1800 actually, and I'm using that for my audio interface. And my thoughts were that, maybe sometime down the road, I'll be able to get some guys in here and you know, record them and have them pay me for the services, and maybe that would help you know, help me make some of the money back that I've spent on all this stuff. Give me just a second and I'll show you some of my other gear. Alright, so this bad boy here is my basically my live rig. Now I do have two of these 412 cabinets, and I got a couple of heads. I've turned into a real Blackstar fan in the last little while. I have an EVH head sitting over here. I choose to use this thing instead. It's got everything that I need built right into it. It's got reverb, it's got delay, it's got modulations, all that kind of stuff. I can do anything I want with it. Over here, I have my electronic drum set. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a kick-ass drummer or anything like that, but I can play the drums. And one thing I can do with this kit here is I can trigger drum samples that I have already in my Cubase program. You know, samples are always the best mics on the best drums and the best rooms and everything. And so, you know, when I actually play the kit, the advantage that I have to that is velocity sensitive. It sounds like a human playing it. Sometimes I program, sometimes I play. Sometimes I get one of my friends to play who are a drummer because it's just quicker and easier, and usually I'll give them 10% of a song or something if they're going to do that. So that's the other room. Let me get back to the main room. Okay guys, here I am back at the main room, so I'm just going to spin you around and show you what's going on here. Just because I can see this stuff a little bit more easily now. So you can see my channel strips that I have in my rack, my room correction unit, and of course my interface. I mix using my KRKs, which are these yellow cone speakers here, and I actually have a secondary check. I use this Behringer Grot box, and what it does is I mix everything down to mono, and I put it on there, and if I can hear everything in there, then I have a pretty good sense that it should sound pretty good everywhere else. This thing sounds absolutely horrible. And I guess that is the idea. It's supposed to kind of simulate the worst listening conditions, you know, that we can find out there. I got my own mastering program elsewhere on the internet. I've got pictures of some of my mastering sessions and stuff like that. Now, since the release of my newest album, Never Let Me Go, I picked up these PreSonus Eris E5s, and I'm very excited to use them actually because they do have a little bit of a different bass response. And I'm curious to see how they're going to affect my mastering process and my mix process, actually. So that's cool. I can control them all here by this Behringer thing. It's similar to a Mackie Big Knob. I can turn off speakers, turn on speakers, spare speakers. The Grot box up there I can turn on. I got headphones. If I have somebody out in the other room, I can talk to them through the mic, through the headphones, this kind of thing. It's pretty cool. Down here on the floor, this is one of my favorite things ever, actually. This is a Blackstar HT Dual, and you'll see I got it paired up with a ADA cabinet simulator. So what I do with this, I plug my guitar into this thing. This is basically a preamp from the HT5 or the Blackstar HT5R series of amps. Now, I actually was using one of them live, actually, and powering it with a Marshall. But anyway, I found it to be quite kick-ass. So when this pedal came along, I thought this is cool. Now, you guys may or may not know me, but if you do know me, then you already know that I actually play the character of Paul Stanley in Canada's Biggest Kiss tribute called Destroyer. And so, being in that band, I quite often fly to shows, and this is the rig that I bring with me all the time, because when you fly to a show and you can't bring your gear, you don't know what kind of amp you're going to have. And this little combination here, it just kicks ass. It sounds absolutely fantastic. So, I recommend it to anybody. There's also the Tech 21 has the FlyRig 5, and it's got delay built into it and stuff like that. But in terms of pure sound, this bad boy here sounds better than anything. So then, when I'm not playing in Destroyer like I am most every weekend, and I'm sitting at home writing my own stuff or even playing my own stuff, this bad boy here is my guitar of choice. This is a Gibson Les Paul Double Cut Standard, and I've replaced the bridge pickup in it with the DiMarzio Super Distortion, and this thing really screams, actually. I kind of have worked my way into having a bit of a standard recording setup, in that what I do is I always record this guitar, and I have another guitar right here, which is my EVH Wolfgang. It's a made in Japan Wolfgang Special. Wolfgang Special always goes on the left. Gibson Double Cut Standard always goes on the right. and that helps with my mixing actually, because they have two different guitar tones, so they don't have a tendency to clash, and you can hear both guitars when they're playing, and even in a mono mix actually, so I'm fairly happy about that. Here's another one of my favorite toys right here actually. I don't know how well you can see that. This is what they call a Hughes and Kettner Red Box. Now, it took me years to be able to figure out how to work these things, or to like them at all. Actually, I plugged my guitar into them and stuff, and I used them entirely wrong. It took a bit of screwing around, but I finally got it figured out, what these things are supposed to be used for. And I've used this thing to record with, actually. And if you do listen to my album, Never Let Me Go, or the video, you'll actually hear this thing in use, because that Black Star amp that I showed you out there on top of the Marshall 412 is the amp that I used, plugged directly into this thing with no speaker. This is a cabinet simulator, much like the ADA over there. And anyway, that's what I use instead of a microphone. This thing is not supposed to sound like a microphone in front of a cabinet. It's supposed to sound like a cabinet. I've used it live, and I've had my sound guys prefer to use the Red Box over top of the microphones that they would choose in front of my cabinets. So I'd say it's a pretty good piece of gear, and for 130 bucks or whatever they cost here in Canada, you know what? They're not that much money. They're worth having, and they're a good solution for you if you have a stage that maybe doesn't have a lot of room for extra mic stands or that kind of thing, or you need to do quiet recording. The whole idea for me to do the quiet recording was so that I could play my guitar and listen to it in my studio monitors rather than listen to it in my amp, because I want to know how it sounds there. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I guess I didn't exactly show you this, but this is my Korg M1. We found it on one of those garbage days, or whatever you call it, when the neighborhood puts out that stuff that they don't want kicking around their house. My aunt had picked this thing up thinking, oh, this would be just a fantastic thing for the kids. And I looked at it and I saw that it had MIDI in and MIDI out and whatnot, and I thought, no, the kids aren't having that. That's going to be mine. And so I brought it to my studio, and in fact, actually on the song Set Me Free, this is the keyboard that I used to play the piano part when I recorded that song. So it turns out to be coming in nice and handy anyway. Just FYI. So at this point, I've done a couple of small projects here in my little home studio, and I got to say I've enjoyed doing it. I've certainly learned a pile. The first one I did is called Unwell. Now the video is available on YouTube, and you know, the album is available on iTunes, of course, and everything like that. It's an EP actually. It's a 5-song EP. I learned a pile of stuff doing it. I was very excited to get it released and whatever. But as I progressed and I started writing for my second release, which is Ian K. Never Let Me Go, well, you know, there's just a step increase difference in the quality of production, at least in my mind, actually. And, you know, to that end, I'm actually looking forward to releasing my third album. And I hope that you guys are going to dig it too. But anyway, this is just a quick little tour of my little studio at home. I call it Magic Box Records. I'm thinking of registering it as a label actually anyway, so that I can maybe get some other bands on it and that kind of thing. I'm learning enough about recording. Some of you who do know me know that I've had my songs on commercial radio across Canada. Maybe you do know, or maybe you don't know, my song Linger actually broke the top 50 rock chart in the US last year as measured by Digital Radio Tracker. And I think it peaked at 31 or 34. Something like that. So, hey, it wasn't #1, but you know what? It's a good feeling to have it on there anyway. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the tour, and stick around, come back around, I guess is probably a better word. I'm going to be doing more of these videos. I'm going to be, you know, just showing you how things go, maybe kind of give you an idea how my creative process works and that kind of stuff. Also, you know, for the music guys out there, I'm going to put together some videos that show how these cabinet simulators work properly and whatnot, because it took me a long time to figure that stuff out. And, you know, if I can make it easier for somebody else and they can know what to expect and how to use them properly, because they're not all equal and they don't all get used in quite the same manner either. So, anyway, I hope to help some people out. I hope you like this stuff. If you haven't had the opportunity, please do check out my videos on YouTube. I got Never Let Me Go. I've just released You Make Everything, also from this Never Let Me Go album. It's the first song on the album. My Unwell video is up there. Please like my channel. Please subscribe. And hope to see you again soon. Take care.